Greetings, and welcome to this very, very surprise live stream. Well, when I say surprise live stream, I did begin it today, and it came about by sheer universal, energetic, just natural evolution. Now, when I say that, I was taking a call from a young man, and this young man is a bit of a guru in marketing, and he is right on the brink at the young age of just 23 years old. He is on the brink of making his first million, and he is helping people online to actually get to multiple six figures and beyond, to be able to have 5-figure weeks, $10,000 months, and to really be able to, he is so passionate. But, as I actually went through the interview today, I discovered it wasn't really about the money. Although I'm talking money, it really is something far deeper, because as you meet this guy, and I really would love you to say hello as you're jumping on, you'll come to know that this is a very ambitious young man that wants to take his life to the very, 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 very next level. So I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Terry Messenger, and I'm a world-class coach and trainer. And I utilize the subconscious through neuro-linguistic programming, hypnosis, and many of the research greatest modalities on the earth. I call it the Rolls Royce of personal development, because it takes people to where they want to go at the speed of light. So tell me where you're tuning in from, and say hello as you are jumping on board. And I am going to introduce you to this man, and we're going to really go through and look at what are the true traits of a high achiever and someone who is hungry for success. So with no further ado, let's bring him on.
That was an amazing introduction.
And just like magic.
Excited.
Just like magic. So I think we better start from the start, okay? So we don't know each other.
True. We met this morning.
We met exactly your time this morning. It was my time this afternoon. And the conversation, the way it went, was so exciting, and, such value that I know that so many coaches out there are going to want to hear, and so many people that just want epic success are going to really want to hear these questions. So I really, really, really wanted to add value to people by actually going through what I call a bit of a coaching call. Of course, it's a free coaching call. So firstly, can I start from the very beginning, Colin? What made you actually get on a call with me? What attracted you to the call, and what was it that you really decided in your mind, I'm going to do that?
The truth is, it was more of a perfect timing, because I just did a big launch. We did really well. I got some amazing clients in. Now focusing on the next few steps to really scale the business to multi-six figures a month. Which is super exciting. And I was like, got a message from Terry. Let's see what she's up to. And then I got on a call with you, and we had a great connection. And I was like, and then you were like, hey, let's see if you can share some value with the world, and I get you on there. Are you open to going really deep? And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm all about.
Yeah, and we'll do that. We'll go really deep. So do you mind if I kind of like sock it to you, but in a really kind of I think because you're a male, you'll be able to take this. But, you could be such an extraordinarily advanced kind of a marketing guru that you could have actually signed up on a call with me to actually perhaps position your your actual business and what you have to offer. So let's just say, I mean, I know that quite often really it's really about what the world can serve the world. Now, that could just be like a little kind of a question in my mind, because I see what you do. I see how you can help coaches. I see how you can convert people. So tell me, what is it that you truly, truly, truly want to achieve?
Same questions last time. In 6 months or in the next 10, 15 years?
Okay, so let's go 6 months, because we'll do that. We'll make that easy, something that's really tangible. What is it that, just so that we give people some really good background here, perhaps start off by saying what you do, so what your business is, and just give a little bit of an overview on what you do and what you want to project for the, say, in 6 months from now.
Sure. So I run this little community with over 500 coaches, where I help them. They're anywhere from 0 to 10K, and I help them get to anywhere from 5 to 15, sometimes 20K initially, and then we can work on some more advanced moves. And that's the initial goal. And my goal is to bring, I don't even share this with you, my goal is to bring accountability back to the whole industry, because I feel like all I am is just a money multiplier. If you show up and execute, like, you should have results guaranteed. I'm getting pretty sick and tired of keep hearing and talking to potential clients of mine that are like, oh, I've been burned, I don't have money. The last coach took my money. I did everything the coach told me, and then he or she told me like, hey, I don't know what to do. Just keep doing what you're doing, or it's all mindset. And I just completely disagree with that. So my goal is for the next year to pretty much take over the industry with the best possible offer. That literally includes everything from branding, from featured in magazines, podcasts, to working with a world-class designer, to having niched experts, to one-on-one coaching, all with a success guarantee in there. And I want to see if the other coaches can keep up. And if not, then my company keeps growing.
Love that.
And if they can do that, then we can actually make the world a better place.
That is beautiful. Now, guys, as you're jumping on, please say hello. Please let us know where you are actually calling in from. And if you have any questions for this young man, now is the time. Drop them in the comments and we'll get some questions answered. So you're a money multiplier. You, like myself, are so used to hearing the same stories where coaches have spent tons of money and tens and thousands of dollars to go ahead, and they haven't got where they want. And you want to lead the way in that industry, showing them what they can do to, I guess, multiply their money. But, if we really come back to the heart and soul, money isn't innocent. That's the first thing. And I really want to add value to our audience here. So I want to say that while, it may sound that, okay, we're talking money here, the fact is that money is a currency. So the first thing, just getting back to that, what you've said as well, like people who are obviously investing and not being able to do what it is that they want to do. Well, here's the thing. You have to do the work, right? So I'm going to go through questions with Colin, because here is a man who does the work. So, sometimes I say to people too, it's a bit like a multi-million-dollar lottery ticket. If you could have all the numbers, you could have all of the elements to succeed and take yourself to the next level. But if you are one digit away from from the numbers, you could be, it's as good as a complete miss. Would you agree with that?
For sure. And a lot of people also, I love working really hard. I work really hard, but you don't always need to. If you go in the wrong way, it doesn't matter how hard you work. You'll just burn yourself out.
Yes,
but totally agree.
Yes. So that's right. So I hear that the key word in tonight's live stream is about burnout. And given a position like yourself, Colin, where you are determined to actually really obviously crank up some things, multiply people, and you want to, you know, describe, can I ask you, what will you be doing to actually make that happen? What kind of things will you be doing to multiply people's money?
You mean in the process of my coaching business, or in the process of not getting burned out myself?
No, because I'm going to help you with the burnout side of it, but it's more in the coaching. So what will you do to multiply people's finances as they are, you know, coming in? I always say that when a good coach comes in and they've got something beautiful to offer the world and it comes from their heart and they're really passionate about it because they've got a deep, deep why, they've got a deep, deep mission, and they've got a deep vision and purpose. You know, we need you. We need people like you to be that force multiplier, to have a mastery right there in your possession that you can embody. And they say, like, they used to call it force multiplying, right? Which is, if you can imagine, you have got a mastery and you are good at something, and then all of a sudden you just go, and I know that's a very masculine way to put it, but it's like you get all your bullets lined up. You can help all those people. You can leave that legacy. And for people who are stuck, if you are stuck and you're saying, I can't afford to move forward, or I've already spent so much money on coaches to move forward, the fact is, if you are one digit away from that complete, you know, next step of quantum leaping in your business, you could be stuck. You could be where you are in 5 years from now. So what we want to do is we want to approach some of the skill sets that you've got. What are the, I guess, what are the incremental things that you had to bring into your business? Let's pretend we did not do the live stream today, because there'll be some people who will watch this and they may not see the other one. So what are some of the incremental changes and elements that you've had to bring in to put you into this successful lead and obviously be in the position that you are now?
Sure. It's very simple for my clients, and then I'll break down why it's very simple. All you need to do is you need to find a way to communicate with the right person at the right time with the right offer. If you can do that, you'll make money. Like, it's that simple. But how that works on the back end, I can go very in depth. But then, and I'm specifically talking to coaches, consultants, course creators, maybe also service providers, because really what you need to know to do, and assuming your mindset is on point or enough that you can actually execute, what you really need to know is you need to know your perfect client. You need to know who you're talking to. But you only need to do two things about your perfect client. One is, where is my perfect client located? Because if I know exactly where 10,000 of my dream clients are, business just becomes a lot easier. The next thing that I need to know is I need to know what's that story that my perfect client has in their mind. So everybody has a story in their mind about a problem that they have. And it can be 10 stories, 20 stories, 3, whatever it is. If you look at a single mom that can't feed her children, the story that she has constantly running in her mind is, I need to feed my children, I need to make money, I need to find a way to get food. So your client...
What do you think the story is for coaches and consultants and people online that are really wanting to, you know, full steam ahead? What do you think their story is?
For most of this, I need to make money. It's not even about giving back. They want to give back really badly. But a lot of them, it's about making money. It's about making money, and then they can give back. It's the same as everybody that wants to save the world but doesn't make money first. People that start charities without having any understanding of business will usually fail, or they don't run a proper charity. How about you first start something successful, and then you use that leverage to actually give back to people? Excluding the other group of people that I get is people with a job that make a lot of money, but actually now want to switch that, replace the income, and do actually good work and do things that give them energy. So
I can very, very good point there, Colin, because, you know, I'm what I call, you know, well, you know, I call myself now a world-class coach because I was selected amongst one of 50 coaches in my field to speak. And that was one of my last speaking engagements that I did over in Queensland. And just to present, you know, in front of people. And, you know, this is something that I know that's where I feel really at home. And I am a heart-centered coach. That means that I love serving so much that I have a tendency, and I know a lot of coaches like myself have a tendency to fall into the trap where you can overgive, right? You can overgive, and in a way that doesn't, you know, you do, I can see what you mean, where you do need to flip it so that if you are serious about, you know, actually giving to the world and creating something, you've got to have some kind of a business acumen, some kind of affluence about, you know, the systems that you're going to set up. So tell us about what have you had to do? What are some of the sacrifices you've had to make? And what have you put into place to ensure that you are obviously so successful?
The first thing that I did is after I finished my school, university, got a job. After I finished off that, I decided to start my own business, and I moved away from everybody. I traveled specifically to Nepal because I always wanted to travel, because that was always one of my goals. So I saved money for that. But when I was traveling, I didn't travel. When I was there, I was just working on my business. 12-hour days at least. I was living in a crappy motel. I think it was like $10 per day, something pretty cheap, $5 to $10 per day. There was this really tiny restaurant called something with super world-class Momo, whatever it is. And this was this restaurant run by this guy that had worked for the Hilton and had worked for some really prestigious hotels. But somehow he got sued, and then he got bankrupt, and now he had this tiny little place next to where I was living, and he had delicious food. So my entire life was just waking up, working, going to that place to eat, and it was super cheap, like $2 per an entire meal. And then work, go back to the place to eat, work, go back to the place to eat. And for 2 months straight, I didn't make any money. And then eventually I sold my first, at that case it was drop shipping, sold my first sweater with like equestrian, so a horse face on there, aimed at equestrians. And after that, I decided it was real. And then I went through multiple different markets, from YouTube ads to Facebook ads to selling courses to selling pretty much like everything that you've heard about. I tried it. And eventually I decided to go back to when I was 14 years old, and I learned about personal development, psychology, whole background story. The short answer is it was first to get a girl. So I went to, that was quickly solved. And then I went deep into personal development, psychology. And then I was like, how about I use that for my own mindset coaching business? And then I went, and then somehow I cracked the code eventually, worked with some depressed, suicidal people. Then I went to CEOs and executives in the technology industry, to small business owners, to making a very smooth transition to adding business advice in there. And last year, completely transitioning to just business advice because the competition wasn't that great, and it was just very smooth because along the way I spent a hell of a lot of money on programs. Everything that I made, I put it back into the business.
Can I actually ask you that question? So for you to be, obviously you're doing well financially and you're ready to crack the next code. So what do you reckon you invested in coaching in order to become where you are today?
Probably over 45K.
Yeah. And that's pretty standard, especially, I mean, in your position, because you're so young. I know I could actually purchase a property with the amount that I have invested. But whatever you put into yourself, you really cannot, you cannot waste what you're putting and giving into yourself, right? So this investment's not going to run away. And, you know, this is the investment that you have to live with every day. You have to be with every day. And, you know, what I'm hearing is, you know, a young man also who made lots of sacrifices, the way you lived, and you know the way that you put so much effort into what you've done, and you even started out helping suicidal people. So you've been in that, you know, in that coaching system where you've helped people at, you know, the absolute depths of despair, and you know, and you've gone right through to business. So if you were to wrap up a statement to say what you want to actually attain, because this is the part where people can get a little bit not as on point as they need to be. And this is going to be, do I have your permission to go really deep to help you to find your true mission?
Sure, go for it.
Okay. All right. So I want you, the first thing you need to do is you need to make a statement about what you want to achieve in your life with what you're doing.
Okay, so there are multiple phases. So the first part for next year is to have 20 clients every month on the front end program, and then to take about 1/3 of them into the back end program, and in the year at about 150 to 200k, but per month, 150 to 200k per month. But I'm not too concerned about that. That will happen. I'm more concerned about the next step, which will be when I have children. I want to create my own school and have my own little university for them. Get 10 other children in there, and then have a video crew, video team, videotape everything, and get the best people in the apps, like the best world-class people that I know, get them to teach in this system, and then make education free to the world. So that's the goal.
I love that. Now this one here is the one I'm looking for. You know, building that dream for the kids that you haven't got yet, and building that university, and having that team, and having those, you know, the photographers, and having all of those elements. Now, the next step is I'm going to ask you to answer from your heart. Now, in order to answer from your heart and to even drop down into that, you know, inner core space in your stomach, where we're really going to go deep, the first answer, and a quick answer, needs to be the answer that you give. So being that you want to build this university and have this dream of being able to do this, and then with the kids that you, for your children, and you know, all of the developments around that, why do you want it? Quickly, and a short answer, why do you want that?
Because I've never had a role model in my life that I looked up to that covered all the areas, and I want to provide that for the world.
That's beautiful. Okay, so you never had a role model to look up to. And so when you say you never had a role model to look up to, can you tell me what that inner child wanted?
Sure. So with a role model, I mean somebody that was almost the complete package. I was very good at finding flaws in almost everybody, and I've never found a person without flaws. So I quickly gave up of the idea of having a complete role model. But when I grew up, I wished that there would be people that could have shown me a better framework of how the world works, because I believe that there are systems behind everything that we do. And I wish that somebody could have showed me those systems in a more systematic way, which would have saved me a lot of suffering, pain, abuse, confusion, and
Okay, so here we go. So there you go. So now you're talking about a system that if you had have been able to have it, see, this is what you believe, okay? You believe that if you had that system, it would have saved a lot of pain and a lot of suffering. What kind of pain and suffering?
Being bullied, but mainly just not everybody's bullied. I wasn't worse or better than anybody else. I was relatively popular, but it's more for me that I would have been able to influence the people around me to make better decisions. Because now if I look back at all of my friends, they are still doing the same thing. I luckily figured out that if I looked at the people like my parents or the people at the soccer club where I was playing, that, and I could see the parents drinking, I saw, okay, if I keep doing this, I'll probably be a parent making very little income, not doing what I love, 80% of my time spent working, and I'll become pretty much an alcoholic, like drinking in the weekends, and I didn't want that.
So was there a person that you saw doing that kind of like had a big impact on your life?
In the sense of a mentor or somebody that I met?
No, just anyone around you in your younger days that
No,
perhaps
there was not a specific person, because it was very obvious that everybody was kind of the same.
Who's everybody?
Everybody in my little village.
Okay, and what
And
village was that?
everybody, I mean, everybody on the soccer club, everybody on the bars, restaurants, everybody, all the dads of my friends, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so what do you believe would have happened if you had a system, if there was a system and there was a role model? What would have that done for your life?
It would have given me an easy opportunity to influence the people around me by being a better leader, so that I might have been able to help a few friends around me, or to stop more suffering, or to influence that there was less bullying. Also want to say everything is nuanced. Obviously, I can reframe everything. I can see everything in different light. Not everybody's everybody. It's very nuanced. But I think that would have helped me.
About generalizations then. So why is that so important to you? Why would have that been so important to you?
Because I figured out, probably when I was 15 or 16, that my purpose, and I think the purpose of every human being, is to find out what is true in order to raise your own energy, or the energy of the people around you. Or you can change energy for vibration or source energy, or whatever you want to call it.
And why is it important to be able to change that energy and be able to take that kind of, I guess, to have that kind of control?
I wouldn't say it's that much about control. It's more about figuring out what is true. That's a good question.
And why is it important to figure out what is true? Why is that so important?
The answer that comes to mind is that the world is pretty fucked up. And I don't see the world getting better anytime soon if nobody steps up.
Sure. And the fact that you know that the world is pretty effed up and you can see that. So what was the biggest F up for you at what age that has really left that trademark on your life?
I don't know if this is the one, but in the Netherlands, you can drink when you're 16. They now upped it to 18, but you can drink when you're 16. So everybody drinks when they're 14. So I quickly realized that drinking wasn't that healthy. So I spent 2 years, and I'm a pretty obsessive person. So my friends and I were drinking when we were 14 nonstop for the next 2.5 years, until I eventually could see it in my eyes, and I could see it in my liver, and I could take pictures of myself from after 2.5 to 3 years of drinking and before. And I didn't see the same energy, vitality in myself, even though to the outside world you wouldn't see anything, because I was skinny. I was actually into bodybuilding. I was a bit more, I weighed a lot more, and I was one of the fittest people that you would have ever seen. But inside, it didn't work that well, and I knew that if I would keep doing it.
So what was going on the inside? So what was happening on the inside?
Sure, probably issues with the liver, kidneys. What I learned later when I did a few juice fasts and water fasting, that there is a lot of backed up shit in your system that you haven't dealt with. And I'm not meaning that I mean that in a physical way, like literally it will come out of you.
Look, it is a physical, and it is an emotional, and it is a spiritual way. In fact, whatever your soul is and whatever you've got going on inside you from the inside out is going to reflect. So one of the greatest things you can do for your life is to actually just, be able to have a pure cleanse, like a real cleanse out and a real release and a letting go. So when you look at some of the landmarks in your life around the pain and the suffering that you saw, can you identify where your biggest void was, where your biggest lack was?
I think it's knowledge. I think it's knowledge and having people believe me that I could get where I wanted to be, or at least figure out where I wanted to be, because I had no clue where I wanted to be, and get there with less
So
doubt.
what I'm hearing there is something very, very prevalent, because this is a very key factor of a lot of coaches and a lot of famous people that are great leaders, and that is that there was someone they perceived did not believe in them, or there was someone that they perceived that where they felt that they were not good enough. And it's almost like this deep fire that burns in their soul to actually want to make a difference in the world. I know that that's where I've came from. I know that my deep mission in my own personal life came from the fact that I failed and that I did not feel good enough. And so that was a really big void that created that desire, that burning passion and that burning desire. And even when you look at some of the greats, when you look at some of the men, like I'll say men because you're a man, in history, like Andrew Carnegie and his great wealth and his great riches. Well, that happened because he was with a single mum who couldn't afford anything. And so really what happens is there's a moment in time that defines you. And that moment in time when that person feels so deprived that they kind of like draw a line in the sand and they go, F this shiz. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes complete sense, but that's not my driving factor. I know that happened, but it's maybe in the beginning it was. But I see it in two ways. First of all, whatever you do, it will not make any difference. Like in the next 100,000 years, nothing that you've done or a billionaire will be here in the next billion years. But then the opposite is like, I might as well make the best out of it. I might as well see what's possible.
So what do you believe you stand for? What's your stand? Like, who do you stand for and what do you stand for?
That's a good one. I think I might come back to the mission in life that I told you. I think that's really what I stand for.
And state it again.
It's to figure out what's true and help raise my own vibration or the vibration of the people around us. And I think if everybody would do that,
and what grounds is that? On what grounds are you making that stand?
It's on the 4 areas of life: health, wealth, relationship, mindset, or spirit, however you have to call it. And if that just becomes clear, because in this world it doesn't have to be so difficult. Like we don't need that much. If we have free shelter, somehow we can find out a way, and it's not difficult to get free food. Look at here in Greece, in my street, there are orange trees everywhere. You can just grab them. You can plant fruit trees, vegetable trees or bushes, whatever it is. You can plant them literally everywhere. That would solve a lot of the issues with food. We can then get free electricity, free power. Whether we use wind, electricity, or there will be something better. If we have that, there's really not much more that we need. And if we then all focus on creating the world or making the world a better place, that would be much better than now being stuck in this chaos and this mess where we have to wear masks and where everybody's sick because they don't take care of themselves.
Yes, and you being in Athens, what is the state of your world there as it stands now?
they messed me up. We flew here because they only had 500 deaths in the last 8 months, COVID deaths. So there were almost no regulations, which was perfect. And then 2 weeks ago, they went into lockdown for no apparent reason. They said the cases were rising, but who knows? The deaths seem to have increased since the lockdown. So.
And you know what, really, when people are in a lockdown, if anybody hears this message, the fact is that you do not need to be in a lockdown because the world says that. Where you are in your mind is really more to do with the way that you position it. So if you want to look at it as a lockdown, then you're going to feel like you're in that lockdown. But if you want to look at it as this is a time for me to perhaps turn inwards, and this is a time for me to groom myself, and this is a time for me to collect myself, and this is a time for me to rise up and really make a difference in the world. And of course, with something what you're doing, of course, you're helping a lot of online coaches. And this is exactly where I'm coming from as well, because when you can come from something where you have a genuine mission and you stand for something, because it's always what you stand for. If people are in this kind of a business just for the money, I wouldn't bother working with them. But if they are in this business because they want to succeed, they want to help the world, they have a powerful, juicy mission. Like I stand for equal rights. I stand for the rights that every single person on this planet deserves the right to rise and be recognized for their greatest gift. And I also know that when you are living into your mission, your vision, and your purpose, that is when you come alive. That is true living. You know, when you are in your genius zone, when you are in your flow. And, you know, you can't fake that. There's nothing fake about a person who is in their point of gift. So I'm going to go back to the question that you originally asked me, and it was around the burnout, and the question was, how do I go faster and how do I get to where I want to be? Obviously, with that speed that you're talking about to where you want to go, and actually ramp it up without burning out. Now, is that right? Was that the question that you asked me today?
Yeah, I'm always looking for that. Even just there are people, and I think that you're one of those people. For example, I have this health coach named Dr. Fred Bisci, Bisci, and he's 91 years old. And this guy only sleeps 3 to 4 hours per night, like a complete maniac. Like raw food, eats like 1 or 2 meals a day, like extremely clean, sleeps 3 to 4 hours a night, and can still run a marathon. Like insane guy. So I'm always looking for those people that might have that edge, that where I don't know what I don't know. So yeah, that's why I'm here.
Absolutely. I love that. You're hungry for information. And, you know, getting back to Andrew Carnegie, who had a very big mission, then of course there was Napoleon Hill. And Napoleon Hill, for those of you who don't know, is the writer of Think and Grow Rich and the Laws of Success. And he set about to actually interview 500 of the richest and most successful men. You know, people like Edison, Henry Ford, Rockefeller, you know, all of those greats that were interviewed by the young Napoleon Hill. And as a result, do you think he came to know anything?
I think he did.
I think he did. And he came to actually write a book. So the first thing is, so when you are actually, so your question, I wonder if you can position the question, because I'm going to come back with what Anthony Robbins says, and that is that the quality of your questions will be the power and the quality of your life. So if you were to ask me a question about speed success and burnout, position that question so I can answer it.
How can I have more energy during the day without it leaking out at certain moments? Because I'm looking at a screen for too long, I'm having too many coaching sessions. And
where does it leak out to? That's the first question. Where does that energy leak out to?
It's probably just the screen, constantly looking at the screen. So I've got these blue blocking glasses. And sometimes I just have a lot of clients. Like, for example, yesterday I had 10 calls, 10 1-hour calls.
Now, I'll just say that question again. Sorry, my question was about your energy leaking out. You said that your energy, without my energy leaking out. My question is, where does the energy leak out to?
That's what I don't know, because if I meditate, I can meditate for 10 hours and I wouldn't be tired. So there's something, whether it's me being unconscious or me putting a lot of effort into really trying to help my clients, where the energy leaks out.
Okay, so the energy leaks out when you're putting a lot of energy into those clients. So what about if you could actually just be all of who you are and give to your clients what you can give them, and actually be able to have so much success, so much results with them, and so much energy that you are like your 91-year-old friend that you just described, who is actually surviving on 3 to 4 hours sleep a night and running a marathon. Well, it comes back to this, Colin, and that is, it is your flow zone. So my question back to you would be, what can you do so that you are in your flow zone while you are actually, creating this magic for your clients? What is it that you can do that is going to actually fill your cup and ensure that you're not drained, but rather you are completely lit up? So it would be identifying, for starters, what is actually draining you, where that part actually leaks out. So what is it that's happening? Is it too many one-on-one calls, perhaps?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm
Yeah.
not. That's it. But that's a choice that I made this week, because next week I'll be launching the backend program, which makes everything much easier, because there will be video content, strategic sessions. So that problem is already solved. But it would be great to do those 9 sessions while gaining energy from it. And I don't know if that's possible back to back to back to back. So that's why I mentioned it.
So all things are possible. And I was having a discussion with actually a very beautiful lady who I've actually hired as my mentor. And we were discussing this, and really what it is about. It's really about being able to create what you want in your time, but to be able to do something that is so magical and so uplifting. But there was a part of this discussion that we had that, really helps in the ability to be able to fill your own cup. And that is, I guess, it's also building a mastermind team. So Napoleon Hill talks about the mastermind team, right? Which sounds like it's a future endeavor for you down the track anyway.
Oh no, the mastermind team is there. It's all there.
So, what if you look at what you're doing that's taking your energy, and then what you're doing that gives you your energy. So that is what is the difference between understanding what your flow zone is and what is actually depleting you, right? So if you can actually work that out, and remember too that you cannot use theory or any book to be able to earn the level of the highest level of success in reality, because really that kind of success comes from adversity. So when people are actually going through their adversities in life, when they're going through their pains, they are the greatest life lessons. And I find that the greatest coaches that I will work with, I will find out what their deepest mission is. And their deepest mission is when they're willing to be transparent. And I would do that in a session with you, of course, where we go so deep into that session that we find out at the core base what actually happened that you missed as a child, and what actually created that void and that concept of your belief that may have closed that part of you down. And what we want to do is we want to extrapolate it. We want to be able to bring that up and dissolve it and release it. And rather than it being something altruistic, because a lot of people will find that when they're serving people or they're they're doing these things, it can be quite altruistic. Now, Dr. John Demartini talks about this. And altruism is coming from something deep void within themselves. But when that deep void is healed, right? And when that deep void is actually filled and you have that equilibrium, that is when you've got that ability to really create the most potent and powerful system. And, you know, that system, like really, we need systems, and you know that. You probably know that better than anybody. And it's really the system that gives us the freedom, isn't it?
I think so. There's a framework and system behind everything. And the second that you know it, is easy. It's just like climbing. The second that you know the sequence, it's very easy.
Yes. So number one, I say that your lesson for, you know, what to do to actually create that speed success, because you mentioned today that you had to kind of like shut yourself out from a lot of people. You had to get rid of you know, noise like family, friends, and things like that. Can you explain that to me?
It's not that I had to. I just felt like it was better. One of the things that I used, and also why I traveled so much in the beginning, is that every time I moved to a different place, I tried out a different personality that I thought was most like me. Because when we're stuck at the place that we start at, we other people try to keep us in that same box. And if you go somewhere else and even if you pretend to be somebody else, other people will put you in that box, and then you have to live up even to a person that you pretend to be. But if that person,
why would you want to pretend to be somebody else when you can be yourself?
It's not per se about pretending; it's about figuring out what is yourself. What do you really want?
So who are you?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And that the essence for me is I am. There's nothing more to me than I am.
You are. So I am. So in that I am, and you know, when you embody everything, it's the embodiment. It's the embodiment of, you know, all the good. It's the embodiment of all the bad. It's the sheer. It's when we're resisting something, and when we are, you know, fighting against something, that will drain our energy. But when we understand and we embrace who we are for what we are, and with every single muscle and fiber of our body, and, you know, then to bring in and to know, to understand, see your pain. So if you were to talk to coaches that are battling and struggling in their business and they're wanting to go forward and do something, you know, the experience makes you an authority. So if you've had that experience of actually struggling and suffering, and you know what it's like. So for example, I transform people's lives, and I think the transformation is an absolute 100% non-negotiable. And even if they're a highly empowered coach, I know that they need to really let go and release of, you know, some of the things that are holding them back. And the reason why is so that they can rise into their power. And so when you're creating this, one of the biggest things that coaches are suffering from and consultants are suffering from is the fact that they're given so many templates and so many scripts and so many different programs, and they're overwhelmed. But what they really want is they want their hand held. What coaches are really looking for, you know, the ones that I'm attracting, is they want to be able to come on board and experience that ability to be able to launch, to be able to take off. It's like a child that's got training wheels and they're learning to ride a bike. And those training wheels give them that confidence. And one day you take them off and you're holding them, you're just holding them there. And I feel that that is very much That is very much what I do. But I'm also a creatrix. So I'm creating programs for people to meet them where they're at, so that they've got it. And it's usually the program that changes their life. So the program that changes their life is the one that is honorable, that they share to the world. And that's, I believe authenticity is just, it's the new black.
I think it always was. It always was.
Absolutely. It's definitely like just authentic, real, honest, people being more raw, being more honest, being, talking about their deepest wounds. And, that is, and when you can stand up and you can be a coach and you can say, look, this is what I have been through. And I know what that's like. Like, I know what it's like. I've, as I said, I could have purchased a house with the amount of investments that I've created, and I don't regret one of them because I've learnt every step of the way. So, it's those life lessons, because they say, and this is one of the most important points that I want to make before we close down this live stream, but it's, without adversity, you don't really have a platform that you can rise. So if someone hasn't really endured much pain, and, I think to myself, well, if they haven't had that pain, how can they share with the world what they have transformed? So that is one of the biggest lessons to help understand. So it's the lessons and it's the test. It's like the universe saying, okay, I'm going to give you this. Let's see what happens. So the test is, not what happens to you, but it is what you do with that test. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
And furthermore, it's the activation. It's the activation of the ability to then be able to say, right, draw a line in the sand. Like I was talking to a coach. I've spoken to 2 coaches this week, and it's totally just flicked my switch, because both of them have said in their own way, I have decided. Okay, that's the magic word. It's not rocket science. I have decided. Now, I don't mind what follows after that, but when people make a decision, and you can do this, you can make a decision not to allow your energy to leak out when you are dealing with clients. You can make a decision that I go fast at the speed of light, and the faster that I go, the more productive I am, and the more energy that I rise up inside me.
Gotcha.
And decision, because decision means incision, which is to cut, right? And that means that we go either that way or that way. And it's when people are drifting, like Napoleon Hill talks about the drifter. They don't have any direction, and without vision, the people perish. So in that moment, they're just like, or they're saying, they're making up excuses for their life of why they should stay stuck and why they should keep going around and around and around. Whereas if they say, like these 2 people that said to me this week, Terry, I have decided. And the rest is history. Because when that you make that commitment, I know that something goes clunk in a person's mind, and it's like it's taking you from where you are right now to where you want to go. And, the difference, I believe, between myself today and being able to be obsessed like you, Colin, obsessed with what I do. And you've probably, in a way sensed that energetically, right? And as Grant Cardone says, be obsessed or be average. And when people have got, something that they can really, 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 really focus into, and they know their mission, they know their purpose, and they step into their genius zone in doing it, they never have to work another day in their life. And as far as, you know, when you say blocking out, when you said you had to block out people, you know, it's not really about, I know what you mean, because I have had to make decisions like that. So when I say, okay, I'll say to my family, this is what I'm doing. This is where I am going. And I am going to be, when I am here and I am doing what I do, my sacred service, I am going to be there present. But when I'm with you, I am going to be with you. So when you are present, that is the other big secret that really is not a secret. Your presence is the greatest gift. You need to be able to block out all the noise on social media and know what you require and where you need to go to get there. And intuitively know that if there are people that are distracting you, you may love them, they may be your best friend, but you can, in love, you can say to them, this is my mission and vision and purpose. Would you like to join me? But I'm sorry, I can't be doing this. But at the same time, when you are with your family or when you are with your loved ones, you are so present with that. You become this whole evolution of who you are. But at the very core of you, you know what your mission is. And that is enough to get you out of bed in the morning. And the difference between myself today and the younger me that was probably your age that did burn out is that I didn't know my why. I didn't recognize what my deepest why was. I just ran and I ran and I ran and I ran. And of course, anybody that's just going to keep on running is going to eventually burn out, right? And
That will
so,
always be.
yeah. But the fact is that when you know why you're running, when you have got that university right there in front of you, and when you can see that vision in your mind and hold it and feel it with every core muscle and fiber of your body, and when you can know that that vision is so much there, and that brings me to the conversation that I had with my mentor today, and that is that we can practice everything in our minds before it actually happens. So guess what that does? And that brings me to a full circle to what I'm talking about in my story here. The difference between me when I was your age and me now is that because I knew my why, I know my why today, but I didn't know my why then. I just knew that I had a burning passion and a fire inside me that made me want to go, 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 and not stop. Now I have this burning passion, and I know I can see what my vision is, and I can see all the people that I'm impacting, and I can see all the people that are coming with me. And I must say that I've got us streaming in a group, so all my people are watching this in my private group. And thank you for watching, but I can't see your comments because you're watching it from the group rather than this platform. So with regards to that, it's in that moment of being able to know what your mission is, being able to really see it in your mind, being able to even practice it like even a game of sport, practicing, seeing yourself kicking that goal, seeing yourself doing all of those things that you know you want to do to kick those goals and get where you want to be. And then guess what happens when you jump on the field?
Do you want me to give the answer? You'll dominate.
Absolutely, you will. And that domination comes from being in your genius zone.
I appreciate you.
Thank you. All right. So there you go. And that is a little coaching call. And this guy, tell us about where people can find you and, you know, what, just a quick summary for the last 2 minutes of what your goal is for the next few months, that what you're going to be doing to help coaches.
The goal, speaking directly to the person listening, is for you to have a successful coaching business, whether you are from between 0 to 10K. If you're above, I don't help you. I'm not there yet. Go into my backend program. But if you're between 0 to 10K, can I call me? We combine one-on-one, on-demand coaching with a 100% success guarantee. So even if we won't make it happen, you will have a professional designer. You will be featured in all the magazines, podcast. You will have world-class one-on-one coaching. And if you will be the first one to not make it happen, then we'll give you your money back.
Wow, that's awesome. So that's amazing. And can I ask you one more question before you go? And will you give me an honest answer?
Yeah.
Did you jump on the call to position yourself to me?
This call? No, I was
no,
just.
Not this one. The first one. The first call.
No, I'm always looking for the best people. So it was about me learning. It had nothing to do with me.
Well, you know what? You're a very, 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 very intelligent and smart young man. And I'm not saying that to I guess, lift myself up at all. But, you know, I've been around for a very, very long time, and you probably knew that. And I know that that's exactly what Napoleon Hill did. Napoleon Hill did the same thing. Go out, interview people, get intel, find out what your client really, 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 really wants, and serve them.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Okay. And thank you for watching, and to my group in the Master Key program, thank you. Sending you all so much love, and we will talk to you soon. And thank you, Colin. See you later.